This is why Roadhog still hasn't been nerfed. Alright, look, it's obvious Roadhog can't be left alone. The DPS in a tank's overcoat has absolutely dominated Overwatch 2 after the recent nerfs to other heroes, and his ability to sustain in fights with his self-heal and one-shot targets with his hook has made Hog an absolute beast in the worst way possible. And his synergy with Kiriko to remove debuffs like anti-heal have just made it worse. So when the latest patch went live and Hog was nowhere to be seen, the community's reaction was basically, what the f***? Sure, Kiriko's protection Suzu doesn't last as long as it used to, but its cleansing effects are just as useful to Hog as they've always been. And yes, Anna did get a buff to her primary fire and her biotic grenade, which might be useful. She is a good support to help deal with Hog, but those changes aren't really going to cut it when a whole Hog comes calling around the corner. So why, despite all evidence suggesting that Hog needs tying down, have devs decided to let him run free? Believe it or not, it's actually for a good reason, since rather than a few tweaks, there's a soft rework on the way that'll substantially change how he plays and, for obvious reasons, take away that insta-kill on 200 HP heroes. It's going to be a fairly substantial nerf, the devs have admitted as much, so we'll likely see Hog take a similar dive to Junker Queen after she dominated in the opening few weeks before falling off a cliff after her nerfs. Obviously, we don't want to see the tank drop to unviable levels of power. The game is at its best when as many of the hero roster are as viable as possible. But it's also obvious to anyone who's played even 1 or 2 games in the presence of a Roadhog that a decent nerf and some adjustments to his abilities are pretty necessary. The devs didn't get into too much detail about the upcoming rework, but there should be some fairly clear targets to make Hog just that little bit more balanced compared to everything else. Reducing the healing pool of Take a Breather could be a fairly easy way to make Hog a little more reliant on his team and supports to keep him in a fight rather than just standing there and taking all the damage and then healing it off, and potentially reducing the damage mitigation he gets from it, or moving the damage mitigation to another part of his kit in the rework might help make Hog feel slightly less unfun to come up against. And then there's his hook. It's an iconic staple of Hog's ability kit, so we're not expecting devs to remove it or really try to change it all that much. What we might see is a small reduction in range for the hook, or an adjustment to its hitbox to make it slightly more difficult to land those one-shot pulls. But considering the devs specifically mentioned that they wanted to address Hog one-shotting 200 HP heroes, we probably shouldn't rule out some nerfs to his damage numbers to go with everything else. No matter what the soft rework looks like, at least we know when the mid-season patch rolls around, Hog will be getting the changes the game probably needs. And that's why Roadhog still hasn't been nerfed. Do you think the tank needs a change? What adjustments would you make to his kit? Or do you think it's been blown out of proportion and people just need to get better at dealing with him? Let us know your thoughts down in the comments, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more Overwatch 2 content like this. Thanks for watching.